Well, it's great to get another signing day started. Hit a lot of errors. Guys did a really good job. Hit a lot of needs. Hit a lot of really good players. Like I said, really, really good players. Wasn't taking as many as we did last year as far as overall in the high school parts of those things, but hit the right guys, hit needs across the board. Quarterback, very outstanding. Coach's son, really good player. Tennessee Player of the Year, been 4 state championship games, really good basketball player, really good athlete, 4.0 student. Got feet, got arm, got everything. Really good player. Ruben Owens, say as good a back as there is, can catch it, can run it. Very excited to add to that. Micah Tees is a great addition to us at receiver, can really stretch the field and can run underneath. Has all the tools to be an underneath guy and an on-top guy, which is very rare. Can be in a slot, can be outside. Really good. Jaden Platt, great to get him back. He's an aerospace engineering guy. 5.7 GPA, I'd never heard of that. 5.7, don't know how you get to there, but he's a 6'6", 240-pound guy that can run. Had tremendous camp for us. Big vertical, 36, 37-inch vertical, really athletic. Excited about him. O-line class, really excited about him. TJ Shanahan, locally guy right here in Texas, is big, physical. He got hurt there at the end of his season, but he's an early entry, but he's a tremendous player. Physical. I think he's one of the top guys in the country. Outstanding. Chase Basantis, another one from New Jersey. First guy ever to be an offensive lineman to win the New Jersey Player of the Year as an offensive lineman. Really, really good player. I think these guys will play it for a long time. Colton Thomason been committed to us forever, 6'8", 330 pounds, athletic, long, inside, outside guy, very smart, really good player. Naquel Bertrand, Philadelphia, another 6'6" and change guy, 350-some pounds, is a basketball player, can move, big, long, play inside, can do everything. Defensively, Rylan Kennedy, guy's only played football 1 year, really came on like superly athletic, and off the edge, 6'4" guy that can run, 215 pounds, that can run, change, and not your big end, the light end that can really run, rush the passer, was a big-time basketball guy, big-time everything, really excited about him. Sanford, Damien, linebackers, like I said, we had in camp, athletic as anybody we've had. Ran under 4.5, vertical 39 inches, played great down there. Chance Johnson, another guy here, local guy from College Station, can run, play, jump, testing, and like I say, worked out great in the summer for our workouts. Going to be outstanding guys. Just moved to linebacker 1 year and played up and made all kind of plays. Can run, was a great special teams guy and linebacker. York, they're in from Temple, really good, very instinctive, extremely physical, tough, really good player. Safety is Dalton Brooks. I've said all along, he's a running back, a receiver, DB, can play every position. Multiple state championship guy, and he did everything for them: offense, defense, special teams. Now, if he ever come off the field, Bravion Rogers, tremendous athlete, almost 25-foot long jump guy, 6'9" high jump guy, runs low 4.4, 6'1", can run, jump, and can play, hit you. Extremely outstanding. Javon Thomas, again, helped back-to-back state championships again with South Oak Cliff, and actually played a lot of offense this year. Played defense and offense last year, and return guy, but he's a tailback. And like I say, some of the best DBs I've ever been around in my life are really offensive guys that play defense. Tremendous ball skills, can run, can do everything. Really good player. And Tyler White, who's an outstanding punter. Can really hit it, big, long. And problem in the beginning of the year, we didn't know if he could punt because they never punted at South Lake the first half of the season, about once every 3 weeks. So they weren't getting much action, but we had him in camp, and he can hit it a mile. But he's an outstanding guy, along with being a big-time baseball player and pitchers. He was a closer on their state championship team. So I think it's 14 of those guys are multi-sport athletes, guys long, and there's still some other guys that and their signing days and when they're going to announce and do their work will be coming in, and then we'll continue to add to this class. Like I say, now recruiting, with the way recruiting is now, this is just the first part of it. So it's ever extending, and we'll keep going. Questions?
Down front, Travis.
Hey, Jimbo, do you have a target number for this class on where you'd like to get to?
No, I'm just the number of guys we have that'll fit, that we think we can win with and do the right things, and we'll continue to add to the things we have.
And with the guys that you've already lost to the portal, do you feel like with the portal y'all can get back to net even?
Oh yeah, and then don't matter getting back to the right thing. Like I said, I looked at the numbers last year. We had the least number of transfers last year at 12. I think Alabama had 22. I think somebody like 22 and 21 and 23. I guess that means we'll have a good year. Last year we only had 12 and didn't have a good year, so everybody had 20-some had a great year. So I guess we'll have a great year next year, according to transfers. That just goes up and down. and where it's at. And there's a lot of people, and I think there's going to be another wave of transfers once the bowl games end and everything else. So I think that thing is everlasting. So I mean, it's and like I say, and I think the transfer portal is good. I think there's some guys that get late in their career that need to play. I understand them leaving. So we'll keep adding and get the right guys.
And do you have a target number? Do you know how much you'll dip into the transfer portal? Or
Well, as much as we need, and to get the depth and the guys we need, and possible starters or whatever is available comes up that we think we can win the SEC with and win a national championship with and be competitive in our league with.
Second row, David, and then to the left, Zach.
Jimbo, the first few years of you here at A&M, the program's been ascending, at least from a wins perspective. This is the first time you took a step back. How did that change your pitch when talking to these kids?
It never really did because the program, like I say, you have bad years, but I think our program's in a good position. I mean, you look at the catches we have returning from Evan Stewart to Moose Muhammad to Noah Thomas, those receivers alone, those three, the tight ends we have catches, the quarterbacks we have back, the production. The tailbacks now, you had 4 and 22 coming back, but I think are going to be outstanding players along with a great guy. So I think offensive line, how many guys started all year? So, I mean, we were outstanding. Defensive line, everybody, I mean, from freshman start, we had 12 returning guys in that group that can make plays, and with what else we add to it. Linebackers, I mean, 45, 24. And then Marcho Harris, you saw at the end of the year, is really going to be a great player. So those guys returning. Safeties, I mean, you got 14, you got 1, and you have 20. Gilbert, all those guys, I mean, they're all still high production guys. So it is as far as your wins and losses, but you look at where we had and the experience we had with the injuries we had, and the kids saw, I think in recruiting, no one panicked. No one said, "Coach, we got a chance to have a really good team. We want to come in and contribute and play," and end up being good. So it never affected anything.
How important also is it for culture with this
And
new world?
corners, I'm sorry, the corners we got back with Chappelle and Deuce and all those guys coming back.
In this world of NIL and transfers, just the culture, getting guys that want to be Aggies, how important was that?
Well, I don't know if that guys want to be Aggie, but guys want to play. At the end of the day, you can get caught up in Aggies and whatever you want, and you can get caught up in whether you want to go to Alabama, you want to get caught up and go like they had 22 last year, and they've had a bunch of guys leave, and I use them. I mean, everybody's had guys leave across the board. It's about kids playing nowadays. They want to be here, but do they want to play and they want to produce? And if they're early in their careers, and I think that's one of the things that hit us. You had such a young group of guys that were that played so much that it affected older guys on your team. When you get behind the depth chart sometimes on guys like that, it's going to affect that. And that's something that we're going to have to deal with continually throughout recruiting, not this year, but forever as you go into this thing and who you bring in and what goes on. That's always going to be, every year it's going to be ever-changing. This is a whole new world and a whole new entity of recruiting that we've never been around or dealt with, and it's ever-changing, constantly.
Front left, Zach.
Jimbo, I think you touched on it just a little bit, but how difficult is it when recruiting offensive players without having named an OC yet? Was that an issue at all?
Not one
How
bit.
did guys react to that?
Great. Had no effect on it. Like what we're doing, just so they keep getting the ball and the things they've had no effect on any of it.
And you spoke some about the changes of everything, and I know that we've asked you these questions throughout the year, but, I mean, overall, did you ever picture things going this way as far as transfer portals, NIL, things like that?
You mean in
early on
college
your
football?
career? Yes, sir.
I knew eventually pay for play. I didn't know if it NIL like it came about. And like I say, the problem with all of it is there's no consistency in rules. And then when you get into the portal, there's so much tampering going on. It's utterly ridiculous. I mean, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke in ruling college football. And like I heard, I was a coach at UTSA the other day. I think he was. I mean, those guys there, and all of a sudden everybody's robbing their players and taking their. I mean, using them. I mean, that level of players. I mean, this is not good for college football as far as how it's done. I'm not saying being able to transfer is not bad. I'm not saying paying players is not bad. But the current rules and status of how it's done, the way it's done, is ridiculous. I mean, but it is here. So everybody's got the same issues. Everybody's got the same problems, and the ones that keep pushing the rules and breaking them will get rewarded, and the other ones, you've got to keep fighting, scratching, and clawing to do things the right way, but you can do it that way and win. Always have.
Coach, go back behind the lights to the right.
Coach, with this being sort of the first full cycle with the transfer portal in effect, how do y'all as a coaching staff?
There's been a couple of those, though, really.
That's true. How do y'all go as a coaching staff in terms of and trying to get the guys in and figuring where we need to go?
You just got to go
portal?
needs. You just go needs and numbers and where you're at and what you think you have coming back and where you're going to be and balance that. I mean, and that can change whether, starters, depth, whatever you're trying to get. That's an ever-changing thing based off your team and what each team needs.
And then I'm just curious about your experience with Chance Johnson, with Coach Johnson on the staff, just what your,
Listen, Chance is a guy I've known since he was a kid, but, I mean, can run. I mean, can really run. I mean, and it's the first time they played him at DN, which, as I say, is the hard thing right now. One of the hardest positions to find in college football and to evaluate is linebacker, because nobody plays those guys that can run and really big and long and can play. Don't play them behind the ball. They all put them on the ends and rush them, which because we're in a day of throwing the football because they want guys that can rush the passer. I get it. But you don't get lots of guys. Like Chance, it's the first year he's ever stood up and played linebacker, and you saw him as the games went on, boom, and then he can run so much. He can play in space. He can accelerate. He can hit, those types of things. So, I mean, and he's a tremendous kid. He's wired right because, I mean, listen, I say that about his dad was started on three teams that played in 3 straight national championships and was a mean son of a gun, a tough son of a gun. It was very talented, but wasn't unbelievably talented. I don't mean that, and Jerry played in pro ball. I don't mean that, but I'm just saying he's got all the hard wiring right, too, and I think he'll be a really good player for us.
Second row on the left, Alex.
Yeah, a follow-up on Johnson. You know, what's it like signing a kid that you said you did get a chance to kind of watch grow up a little
It's been awesome. I mean, you get to watch those guys, and they always want to play, you know, from your kids to their kids. But when you get a chance to sign, and I always say, I don't ever do that just because somebody's here. It's unfair to the kid. Whether it's my kid or it's a coach's kid on the staff, you say you take him. You don't ever do that. If he can play here, you take him. If you can't, you don't, because the kid ends up having a bad experience. So I think, but it is very rewarding to see those guys, and because you always know they dream of doing that.
And then on a couple guys from down on kind of the coastal Bend area, you know, what kind of game changer can Ruben Owens be at running back?
That's
for
what I
you
said.
guys?
The three amigos. You got Brooks from Shiner, got him from El Campo, and you got Rogers from LaGrange. Three little, as you say, that if you could rob the bank in every town on Friday night, because every policeman's at the ball game, like everybody in town. You know what I mean? You could rob every store in the town. But that's in a small college, you know, that small town ball. It's awesome to watch those guys. And I mean, Ruben's phenomenal. I mean, he can catch it, he can run it, he can go play wide out just as well as he plays receiver. I mean, for the matchups, can run out of the backfield, has great speed, tremendous athlete. Same with and if you look at all three of those guys, they're all extremely similar that way. I mean, Brooks did everything. He even sold popcorn after. He played offense, defense, special teams. He was phenomenal. And a lot of people liked him as a running back. And you saw Bavion Rogers. I mean, you're talking about a guy who long jumps almost 25 feet. You're talking about a guy who high jumps over 6'9". Talking about a guy who runs low. All those guys can do everything, and they were everything for their teams, and they were fun to watch. And we're glad we got them. That's for sure.
Yeah, and last one on Brooks. Just, you know, you mentioned how he can play a multitude of positions, but do you see him at defensive back?
Yeah, we see him and being a safety. We like him at safety in the multitude because you're playing field safety, boundary safety, and I think he'd be a nickel. I think he can do a lot of things. Be a great special teams guy. Just a complete football. All those guys are complete football players.
Coach back behind the lights, left side, Daryl.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, your competitive nature in terms of recruiting? I know that Reed was a guy that was committed to Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming to A&M. You had York that was committed to Baylor, and he's coming to A&M. Just kind of how that factors into.
Well, I mean, you just keep recruiting guys for long periods of time, and it's never over till it's over. It's ever changing, and things go on. And I'm never a guy who, when a guy commits, and you can say it to 100 people, some guys when they commit, man, they just start saying stuff. Listen, if you're committed, I respect that, but we'll always call once a week, check in, say hello, and if you're open to be recruited, okay. And if something changes, let us know. And those guys all let us know when they know they thought some things would change, and were very open to, because of how their recruitment was going at other places and things like that. So I was very fortunate to be able to get on it, and we got 2 good players.
Front right, Travis.
Yeah, when you mentioned some of the guys coming in and talking to guys before, like the UTSA coach pointed out, not naming any names, but how are you seeing this manifest itself with guys talking to guys illegally?
I mean, you hear about it all the time. It's going on. It's across the board, and it's a shame.
Are they calling them early? Coaches
Well, they have
talking to them
somebody
early?
else call them. They'll get them, call them. Have third parties call them, dig into it. I mean, it's every way, shape, and form. And it is the way things are done, but it's not good for the game. It's not good for college football. I mean, because you're saying to get a guy, and who wrote the article? The guy from what recruit 24/7 or 3 on one of them guys. I don't know. Somebody showed me an article he wrote that said, if you're not tampering, you're not getting a guy in the portal. So if you're not cheating, think about what we're saying in college sports. I bet that's good. That's good for the game.
And you feel like some of the players that left here, that might have happened to them?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't. I really don't. I mean, I think if you go back through our guys, most of our guys were guys that were fifth-year guys, last-year guys, and guys in the chart that, you know, or some younger guys that push by, get a little more playing time, things like that, and you move. And I think that is a tremendous reason, and I get it. to go play, and especially if you're not going to be an NFL player, have an NFL dream, I think that's great. I think there's reasons to transfer. I have no objections to that. If you really go through all of our guys, Haynes with those guys and with the different things going on there, no running backs, receivers, all those guys with those 3 guys, freshmen, those guys being the starters and getting most of the catches, you didn't have them there. O-line, there wasn't, maybe, I don't know if it was any or one, maybe. Yeah, well, the other scenario. Defensive line, a couple of those guys with all those other young guys playing and getting way ahead of them. Linebacker the same way, you're stacked, and then secondary. Some of it. So I get some of it can come. Some guys are going to go, but the guys are going to go all the time. That's just the nature of our beast now. Nature of the beast in college football.
And then finally, would you have a timeline on when you might hire the OC? And
No, when the right time comes.
or is it going to look like someone that kind of looks similar to your style? Or
No, we're talking to multitudes of people. We're focusing on recruiting like we were here, and we'll get the best guys that can move the ball. Listen, at the end of the day, just for instance, I had some quality control guys we're talking to hire, and guys have run this offense and that offense and offense. And when you draw it on the board, there ain't a hill of beans between none of it. I keep saying that. Whether it's, you keep saying pro style, run and shoot, or not run and shoot, but was it spread or what do you call it, air raid? All their routes are the same. Just how you do things, there's multiple little things. Football's football, and over's an over, a dig's a dig. So we'll get the right guy that we think can fit and move the football.
Third row on the left, Rob.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
You always talk about the importance of controlling the line of scrimmage. So you talk about these 4 offensive linemen that you're bringing in.
That's what I was just saying. T.J. Shanahan is extremely physical, nasty, plays the game the right way. You go watch his film. Basantis the same way. Tomlinson the same way. Medtran the same way. Nyquil. And he's a guy who's young, just learning what to do, but so athletic, so big, so much range, so much versatility in those guys. I think they're inside or outside guys with their length and size and great footwork and really – that's the key, and I'm excited about the offensive line coming back and these guys signing. A couple of those guys they're all outstanding players, but it's a really, really good group.
Coach will go back behind the lights on the right side first and then to the left, Daryl.
Jimbo, you kind of alluded to it, but you really finished strong. A lot of these names signed within the last 2 weeks. Some of them, even the last couple of days. So what goes into finishing strong in the recruiting trail?
I think consistently through recruiting, and also you may know those answers. Those things may have been told to you a month or two ago. You just, guys don't, when they announce what they do, how they do it. Everybody doesn't always want to come out and announce on day one or whenever they do. They want their time. But I think just constantly staying with relationships and staying there and being consistent for guys and showing them nothing changes. Like I say, no matter what happens, the consistency in what you recruit with, the person you are, and the relationships you have is what it gets down to.
And then in regards to the new OC, when will you make a decision on if you call the play still or if the new OC calls the plays?
We'll wait and see what goes in. Hopefully they will, so I can diverse. And there's a lot of things going on now in college football that the head coach, my job has changed so much in the last 2 years, it's ridiculous. Probably more so as head coaches, things you got to deal with away from ball more in the last 2 years than it's ever been in college football, maybe ever, because of all the things that go on and the circumstances because of the new things that go on. So we'll see when we get them in here.
Go back behind the lights on the left side, Daryl.
Coach, you mentioned air raid, and this doesn't really have anything to do with recruiting, but can you kind of reminisce a little bit about Mike Leach? Got an interesting story, kind of what he meant to you?
No, he was just a very good coach. He did his things in the way he did his way, and he believed in his systems. And like I say, he had great success with him. He had some tough times with him. Just like everybody else, but he stayed consistent with his system and did what he had to do, and threw the football. That was a knock for many, many years. You can't score in the red zone, but you can score out in the field. But hey, Mike did what he did. Mike was his own person. Mike was his own personality, and respect him for it, and fun to be around. And not generally always by very consistent person, very good guy. I love the talks I always had with him before games at conference meetings. You know what I mean? We all met. Everybody looked at him as an eccentric guy and a different guy, and which he had those things. But Mike was a very down-to-earth guy too. In his conversations and when he talked to you, and I thought had a great heart. I thought he was a genuine, honest, really good person. I think of Mike. Mike was very comfortable in his own skin. It didn't matter what you thought of him or how he did things, the way he did things. He was going to do things his way. And I think that's people who have a lot of confidence in what they do and very confident in their own skin of who they are as people. And I thought he was a great guy. I really did. And college football is going to miss him, that's for sure.
Rob, you'll wrap us up, third row.
Coach, I think it's like 60% of